5. Basically, I do the same thing. I represent our members in the field and our contractors, and basically kind of a general idea of what we do. We're the human resources for our members and our contractors. We manage and take care of the pension and the insurance funds and help with issues that they may have, and try to help our contractors garner more work. I take care of the area of Kenosha, Racine, and Walworth in Local 4. And then in Local 7, I do Rock, Greene, and Lafayette counties. I take care of all the counties all the way almost to Iowa.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Our next question is what skills and education are needed in your career area? And I'm going to expand on this because I know many of you said you were part of the union. If our students were looking to be a part of your trade, to get into your trade, what training would they need? What further education after high school? Any certifications or experience would they need to be successful in your trade? So Brian, that leads us back to you.
Okay, Kelly, thank you. Starting out for anybody that would be interested with joining the ironworkers into their apprenticeship, one of the basic common denominators here would be a high school diploma or equivalent GED. That's the basic credential that they would need to apply. And then some of the other things that would help them along would be, I mean, obviously coming out of high school, you're not going to have too much background, when it comes to having a skill under your belt. So, I mean, basic driver's license is definitely very helpful because some of our work, you go from location to location. We've got a jurisdictional line from Chicago travels all the way up through the Upper Peninsula, UP. So our job sites, sometimes we have to drive an hour, and sometimes on a daily basis, you might go from one job to another. So driver's license is pretty important to have as well. And then one of the other certificates that everybody has to have to get onto a job site is a basic OSHA 10. And that we allow anybody entering or applying for an apprenticeship can take OSHA 10 online. And then one of the other very important things is that anybody, before they enter into a construction site, that they have to pass a drug test. That's a requirement and very important that anybody wanting to get into the construction field is drug-free. And that's a commitment that we have with our members and our contractors, that we work together through labor management, and we help get this accomplished. So coming out of high school, those are some of the basic requirements that you would need for the ironworkers. And I believe that's about all I would have on that.
All right, thank you, Brian. Students, I know you're freshmen right now, but as you continue your journey through high school, you will have classes that will give you the opportunity to earn some certifications, including the OSHA 10, which Brian just mentioned. So that's something you can get under your belts before you even get that diploma, which he also mentioned you need. All right, Jim.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off a little bit of what Brian said. Same thing, high school diploma, driver's license, the ability to pass a drug test. But I think the biggest thing, since we're talking to freshmen this morning, is basically, take as many shop classes as are offered in the pathways out there if you have an interest in any of these trades. Even if it's going into like Elijah, into that management role, just a better understanding of how the daily construction is done and hands-on is a plus. Brian mentioned that there's not a lot of skill set for an entry-level person, and that's correct. But passion is kind of a skill set in this atmosphere. We're trying to get someone that's passionate about what they want to do, coming to us straight from high school. So taking those classes, I know the carpenters have classes at all three of the main high schools that can help you guys come to us, but they also will help you in measuring and everything else that we need for entry-level candidates for all the trades out there.
Great, thank you, Jim. Elijah.
Hey, so a lot of skills you may need to become a project engineer, project manager, a lot of soft skills. So being able to communicate effectively, knowing, having a positive attitude, being a hard worker, willing to learn, are all good skills to have. Of course, showing some leadership qualities in yourself, will and help you. But to become a project engineer, you will need a 4-year degree. It doesn't really need to be construction related, but you can have a construction related degree. I have seen people come in with non-construction degree related degrees and become entry-level project engineer. But internships definitely help. So sacrificing some of your summers, to get on the job training, field experience, to learn what RFIs are, what submittals are, to have an eye for safety. You will need to, learn how to take measurements. Sometimes you will need to use your tape measure to field verify some things, but a lot of soft skills, communication skills, writing skills, you'll need to become a good project engineer, project manager.
I'll just jump in here real quick, Billy. I think that's really important for these students to hear. The professional skills, soft skills, whatever you may call them, for what these guys are looking for. That's what they want out of their entry level position, really. You can have some technical skills, but you got to show up. So if Tobin, I'm going to put another question to you. Speak to what your ideal candidate looks like coming out of high school.
Oh, you're right. Absolutely. The soft skills are number one, because all of us here can teach you any trade that we do, with how intelligent you are or what kind of manual dexterity that you have. They're all teachable skills, but we can't teach you how to be on time and how to be responsible for yourself. When you get to work, you need to be ready to work and able to work. That really is number one. I can tell you that, because when you need to, all of our crews are dependent upon a certain amount of people being where they're supposed to be and doing what they do. And when somebody doesn't show up to work, then you have to reshuffle how you're doing things, and you're just not as efficient. And nowadays, we've been doing this for so long that us in the union trades especially are the most efficient and safest workforce in construction that there is, for that reason. And I would just basically reiterate that is very, very important.
Yeah, and I know we're on day 4 of this, and communication has been one of the number one attributes from all of the careers that we've looked at every day this week. Not just communicating, but being a good listener, knowing that half of communication or more is listening, understanding, and then having your turn to talk. All right, Felix.
Okay, I was
There
gonna
we
say,
go.
I guess mine's gonna be the same as what's been said so far. High school diploma, math and reading is really important. OSHA 10, driver's license, shop classes if you can take them, because there's a lot of form setting that goes on. Soft skills, like they said, showing up to a job is it's not really it shouldn't be a battle, but being able to show up to work on time. And on time usually means a little bit before starting time. Good initiative, good drive. That's going to be the main ingredient for success, That's about, yeah.
On the math skills and English skills, because I know that's, sometimes you're in a math class and you're saying, well, why do I need to know this? Right? That's the question that always gets asked. But you guys are using it almost on a daily basis. So you're calculating trust angles or just measuring in general. And I think it's cool to hear from you guys knowing that. math and English is something that you guys use on a daily or weekly basis?
All right, we've come to our favorite question that everybody loves. We want to hear your stories. How did you get from high school to where you are now? What were your twists and your turns? What mistakes did you make? What jobs did you have? I know we could all probably write a book on this, but just a couple minutes about what steps have you taken throughout your career to get you where you are today? Brian, we'll start off with you.
All right, thank you, Kelly. Well, students, this will take me back to, I guess, my childhood growing up. I had a background in farming where I had a lot of opportunity to work. Basically on my bicycle at the age of 12, looking for work because born in '63, I graduated in 1982 from Kewaskum High School. So back, in the '70s, growing up, that's what that's what we did. We went out and found work. And, since then worked, a lot of different jobs as a child or, or a teenager, let's say. And going through high school, we did have shop classes. Into the 7th grade, we had shop. And in school, I was, I dragged myself into these shop classes because that's what my passion was. And I do believe somebody mentioned that word passion. And in all these trades, you do have to have a passion for what you do. You have to like it. But getting back to my shop classes in 7th and 8th grade, took everything I could, learned as much as I could. I enjoyed it. As I got into high school, Kewaskum High School, we had a great opportunity to do photography, cooking, sewing, metallurgy, machinist, shop classes, woodworking, automotive, auto body, geometry, chemistry, you name it, we had it. We had a great opportunity back in my time. And I took as many of these classes as I could because that's where my passion lied. And out of high school, our guidance counselor, it was either military or it was college. And I didn't pick either one. I stayed in construction. Out of high school, I worked many construction jobs, from roofing to concrete work to driving truck, grinding feed, to building harvesters. A.O. Smith, worked for A.O. Smith building harvesters, going around, different states building these big blue silos. Did many things. And as the 10 years passed, all my friends that I graduated from high school with, mostly they all were in the same, field that I was, construction. And pretty much every one of them already got into a trade. Carpenters, I've got friends that got into carpentry at a young age. I got friends that I went to high school with that got into the operating engineers. I had friends that went into their own businesses, doing machinist work. All my friends ended up in a professional career path. And here I was at the age of 27, what am I doing here? And they ended up telling me, with what you like doing, it was fabricating and welding and building things, is why don't you get into the ironworkers? And at the age of 27, living out in the northern Kettle Moraine, I did not know who the ironworkers were or what they did. So I followed, took some advice, and it was a little different back in 1990 to try to get into our trade because they weren't taking applications for apprentices, but every 2 years. It just so happened, it was my time. When I did check into it, they were taking applications. It took me a year to get sponsored to a contractor or to get signed to a state apprenticeship, but I stuck with it. And I think that is a common goal here that we're all going to say, you have to stick with it because it ain't easy. every day is a challenge, and you have to get out of bed, tie your shoes, and face that challenge every day, because our contractors are dependent on us to be there for them every day and to get the job done safe. So starting out in my apprenticeship in 1990, actually 91 is when I was indentured. I've been in the trade now for 30 years. This year is my 30th year, but while in the trade, I continue to take classes, journeyman upgrade training classes, because the technology, the tools, the industry constantly changes, and we have to keep adapting to the changes. So, constantly staying involved with the changes, being steward on jobs, taking a little bit more responsibility, taking a foreman's role, taking a general foreman's role, and even up to a superintendent's role, takes a lot of extra challenge that you have to face every day, and you want to have to challenge yourself to be better, and to be able to help people, on the job, or even help people like we are doing today to make a decision. Is this what I want? And after being a superintendent, I really learned a lot more about people and what it takes to see a job through, and to understand the different, qualities of each person. Each person is different. So something that Kelly mentioned is about listening. We have to listen to others, and we have to be able to communicate well. And listening is a key. And as I was moving on after being a superintendent, I had a lot of interest then in being a business agent for Local 8 Ironworkers, and eventually had an opportunity to step into this position. And that was 10 years ago, and I'm still here, and I enjoy very much what I'm doing, and I enjoy or appreciate what was, put down before me to allow me to be here today. Really, we're a 120-year-old organization, and it's hitting it every day. And that's kind of my story. So I'll end it at that. Thank you.
I think we lost Kelly, so I'll take over. So Tobin, we'll go with you next. Tell us how you ended up to where you are now, whether it's, taking coursework in high school that got you interested. Just give us a little bit of your story.
Yeah, I graduated high school a million years ago in '84 in Kenosha Tremper. I basically took mostly, general courses and some honors courses, which are what advanced placement courses nowadays. I had planned on going to college. That was, and I dabbled with the thought of going into the military to get some money for college, and then after my service, go to college. I had a friend who was a friend of my cousin's, who was a little bit older, who was a union carpenter at the time. And he asked me if I would like to work the summer before I went to college. And I how everybody, we can't ever have enough money, it seems like. So it's like, yeah. So I worked during the summer, and I enjoyed it a lot. It was all team effort in most everything. And, you can actually see what you accomplish in a given day. And I kind of said, well, I've been going to school for a very long time. College can wait a little bit. I'm going to continue to make some money. And then life got in the way, and I started a family pretty early, and it was like, well, I probably am not going to college, so I had better pick a trade that I enjoy, and I'm going to push to get my apprenticeship. And I liked working with the bricklayers, because it really is one of those trades where you actually start out with nothing, and then at the end of the day, you can see what you did, and it is a really team effort. Everybody works together to get everything accomplished. So I asked if I could become a bricklayer apprentice? And my boss said, sure. And that's kind of where it started out. And I've enjoyed what I've done my whole life. You know, like I said, there's a real sense of accomplishment, and, you know, and it's just not hard work, which there's a lot of that in all of the trades. You know, you're going to be tired when you go home, but you do have to know some geometry and definitely your basic maths. You use them every day. So don't think that you need any real special skills, but you will be thinking and using your head every day, no matter what, even though you are working with your body. So that's kind of my route through the trades. And, you know, once you're in the organizations like we are, you care about them because this is your livelihood. And the more you get involved, the more you understand on how all your benefits work. And that's what brought me to where I'm a business rep now. I understand for the young guys that don't know much about their insurance or their pension, because they don't usually go to the doctor because you're young and invincible as a young man, and retirement is always a million years away and you never think you'll get there. But I can tell you all that they come pretty quick once you get started on your life path. So take it, no matter what you're doing, show an interest in those things and work around you, because you'll need to know them eventually, one way or another.
All right, Jim. What's your path?
Couldn't hear who you called there, Alex.
You're up, Jim. So give us
Okay. Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit. All right, no problem.
high school.
When I was a senior in high school at Park High School, I thought I was going to college. I actually did an intent letter and everything. Thought I was going to go to college in Russell. Senior year, January of my senior year, that same college sent me a letter back saying they're going to get rid of the program at the college I already thought I was going to. So here I was, January of my senior year, wondering now what the hell am I going to do? And was wondering, you know, before that, what I was going to do in college. I didn't know what major, what really I was going to do. Just had an opportunity to continue sports and thought it was cool. And being, you know, growing up pretty poor in Racine, I just figured that was a good thing for me. But after that happened, you know, my father, who was a foundry worker for 41 years, just basically sat me down and said, you know, every weekend you're in the garage tinkering things and trying to make things and trying to do something. He goes, you know, why don't you look at something, some kind of career opportunity with your hands? And from there, I decided, okay, I'm going to go to a tech college and take a couple courses over there. So I did. I took some carpentry courses at MATC. Graduated from MATC, and the instructor there had a union background with his family and kind of just got us all ready for testing. And because of that, it kind of led my career path towards a union. However, at that time, like Brian said before, there was some downtime where people weren't putting on apprentices. I started working non-union and not knowing it at the time, actually working for some companies that were pretty dangerous out there, and the way they trained you, you know. So once I got in the union, started working and realizing that safety was a lot more important to union contractors, and quality was a lot more important than union contractors. It kind of steered me on the path of I was definitely where I needed to be. And then I also felt that there was a step I could have missed, and I didn't have to go to MATC. I didn't have to do that if I would have known about apprenticeship and into the union trades. So later on in life, when the opportunity was to apply for this job, I thought I could help other people maybe not have to go through that step where, you know, I did get hurt on a non-union job site, and you know, maybe have them bypass that portion of it and give them the whole ordeal, like there's options here. And through the 6 years that I've been a business rep, I see a lot of things change, especially in the schools. And, you know, RUSD kind of leading the way with inviting the trades in and having us be a crucial part of for you guys and your pathways and trying to understand what's all out there that is higher education, but not necessarily a four-year college. So appreciate that part of it. That's why I'm here.
You'll probably see these guys too, Jim's in the building. If you ever see him, walk up to him, shake his hand, and introduce yourself. All right, Elijah, tell us how you got to where you are.
Okay. So I'm gonna go start back to like my freshman year where you guys were, you know, kind of what Jim was mentioning. In high school, I really wasn't as focused thinking about careers, you know, especially as a freshman. I honestly say you guys being here today, you're gonna be 10 times further, you know, where I am today, and I'm 27 years old now. But back in high school, I was pretty much playing sports. I played football, basketball. I thought I was a cool guy. You know, I was, as you can say, I was kind of popular. You know, I wasn't really as focused on my grades or anything like I should have been. So fast forward senior year, you know, now the time is really ticking. That 4 years flew by. Now I need to really, you know, figure out what I want to do with the rest of my life. You know, I knew I wanted to be successful. Part of me wanted to be an entrepreneur, business owner, you know, real estate type of thing. But I didn't, like, for most of us, maybe, you know, I didn't really come from money. So starting a business really wasn't in, you know, foreseeable at that time. So I went to a smaller, historically black college my freshman year of college just to get my grades up, get refocused, you know, potentially figure out how am I going to pay for school. After that freshman year, you know, I got my grades up. I started getting some scholarships, but still college was pretty expensive. You know, I don't really come from a family with a whole lot of money, you know, and me trying to figure out how I'm going to pay for it was a struggle. So it's funny that today is Veterans Day because thankfully the veteran that's in my life, you know, my dad, he worked some things out where his veteran benefits eventually kicked in, and you know, they were able to pay for some of my classes for school. So that lightened the load tremendously, you know, because before that I was thinking about, I don't think I'm gonna even finish school. I think I'm gonna pick up a trade. I was leaning towards the carpentry, you know, apprenticeship heavily, you know, but that blessing came into my life. So I was able to refocus on school without having to worry about how to pay for it. I still had to pay for room and board and stuff like that, but it made things that much more manageable. So I eventually went to UWM for a year. Well, fast forward, I got my first internship after my freshman year of college. I worked for Gesture Engineering as a concrete tester. So I was going around to different projects, construction sites, and testing their concrete that they were pouring for their foundation walls, concrete footings, and that stuff. So I would have to introduce myself when I got to the site to the project manager or superintendent, you know, so I kind of learned what their role is. But before then, I had no idea that that was even a thing. I would see buildings getting built, you know, but a part of me didn't really, you know, think about the whole managing side and the whole business side of construction. So I was able to expand my research, learn what project managers and superintendents did. And I learned that there was actually a college degree program, construction management, that I could get into. So fast forward, I did a year at UW Milwaukee in civil engineering. I kind of figured, you know, working with Gesture and working around civil engineers, I kind of learned civil engineering and designing really wasn't for me. You know, I really fell in love with the business side of construction. So I eventually transferred up to UW Stout, got in their construction management program. And every summer that I was in school, I did an internship. I got an internship with J.H. Findorf. They were the first general contractor that I worked for. I worked for them one summer, and then I took a year off of school to continue working for them fall semester, really getting experience doing pre-construction, estimating, you know, bidding on projects, and executing projects, you know, keeping up with daily site photos, getting information for our carpenters, our iron workers, you know, because sometimes the architects don't draw the building with the greatest detail on our construction drawing documents that we use to bring the building together. So sometimes we have to ask additional questions, and get additional information for our field guys. So I kind of fell in love with that process, learning the business side of things, and just not, and then just every day is different in construction management. As a project manager, your job goes in phases. One day you're in the office bidding on new work, and then once the project is over, you're off to a whole new project. It can be in another city, another state. I just like that things aren't the same every day. I'm doing something different, totally different every day, and it feels rewarding seeing a whole project come together from a big hole in the ground to a big, beautiful building. So that's kind of how I got my jump into the career, to the industry, but having those conversations with older adults in your life and, voicing what you want out of your life, because they know things we don't know. And that's kind of how I got my first internship, by just letting someone know that I was interested in architecture and construction. And they provided me some resources where I could get my foot in the door, so now, yeah.
Um, And just to speak to internships, because these students have the opportunity for, once they're juniors and seniors, to work in the field. So
Okay.
it's cool, and you had that opportunity, because I know you learn a lot more on the job than probably in the classroom. So, all
Definitely.
right, we got one more. Felix, how'd you get to where you are?
Well, I started off working odd jobs out of high school. And then I started doing some precast concrete out in Burlington. Did that for a number of years. And since it was related to concrete, I joined up with the Finishers Union in Kenosha. And I've been in there ever since. But it was a pretty good transition, pretty easy transition. I like doing the physical labor. I like being outside. That's about it. But if I hadn't, had the proper schooling, and all that, I probably wouldn't have been able to pass the test to, jump through the hoops to get into the apprenticeship. But that's about it. I do gotta head out right now. So I apologize for that.
Last question, and we'll get to the 4 years. So if you can wrap it up in about 30 seconds, could you tell us one piece of advice you have for these students? Jim, we'll start with you.
Yeah. My best advice to you is to build a reputation. Build the reputation that will carry you through to retirement. You're going to build one way or another, but the best thing you can do is build the right one. Okay. Show up on time. Be the person that stays late. Be the person that shows initiative, because the person that shows up late, the person that doesn't care and doesn't come in every once in a while, we're building that opposite reputation. So down the road, when work gets slow, you're going to be that person that's going to be let go first. And there's no one at that company is going to try to help you go somewhere else. But when you have that best reputation and you just start running out of work at the company you're at, that company does do a lot of work to talk to other companies to try to get you placed, and calls us as well to try to get you placed right away somewhere else. So build the reputation that will get you 30 years into the business and be able to retire on a nice rocking chair porch.
Yeah, we couldn't quite hear who you said.
I'm sorry. We'll get Felix, because Felix has got a roll. Felix, you got
Okay.
a piece of advice in about 30 seconds?
Yeah, one thing I want to stress is, and this has come up with the last couple of apprentices that applied for the apprenticeship, is good math skills, good reading skills. And the reason I say that is I had a guy who didn't apply himself during high school and had to take another class because his ACT test scores were low. Had they been higher, had he been more attentive during school, it might be a different story. He might have not had to do that. Well, he got through anyhow. But that's important. Initiative. Be the guy who's helping stuff at the beginning of the day. 7 o'clock rolls around, you're with everybody else getting stuff ready. And that's about all the advice I got really right now for starters,
Is important, even though you're not technically going to college, but you're entering into the trades you guys do have, or that they have to meet. So that is good advice. Thanks, Felix. Elijah.
Yeah. My advice for you guys would be to remain who you are and don't be afraid to be a leader. Don't really feed into peer pressure. Be who you are and don't be afraid to be smart and do what you have to do to be a better person, because these 4 years are going to fly by. And in reality, the people you're closest with, maybe today you won't even see that much, after you guys graduate high school and go your separate ways. So get what you need out of high school, get your knowledge, and just have fun, but just know the 4 years are going to fly by, and just have that in the back of your head.
I don't talk to any of my freshman friends anymore either, so. All right, Brian.
Alex, was that me?
Yeah, yep, you're up.
Yeah, I apologize, a little broke up there. I really didn't catch your question either, but I think by some of the other responses, you're asking what are we looking for with new apprentices coming into our trade? Is that correct?
So what advice do you have for these young freshmen coming from you?
Okay, well, the advice that I would give, and I don't know if it's advice, I think it might be more what to expect, getting into the trades. With ironworkers, expect to get, working at a higher elevations. So it's if you're afraid of heights, that's fine. I think everybody should be afraid of heights, but you work yourself into it. You start out at 10 feet, and by the time you're done, you're at 30,000 feet. Expect to get dirty. Expect that working in all weather conditions. So just things to think about, getting out of bed. It's 5 o'clock in the morning, wind is blowing, it might be raining, snow might be blowing. You have to have motivation. Every day you have to motivate yourself to be there. You have to show interest, with your comrades, that I'm willing to learn. Someday I want to be a foreman, so you have to be involved to get to those levels. And it's not easy to be in any of the trades. It's work. It's every day. It's hard work, and it's a challenge. So you have to be ready for a challenge, for any of the trades you might want to get into. And it's a rewarding challenge, that I will tell you. That is advice I will give you. After 30 years in the business, I'm rewarded with what I have today because of the hard work and the challenge that I faced every day to make it.
Yeah, that's all great advice, and I appreciate you guys coming in today to talk to our freshmen. This is probably one of my favorite groups to talk to with construction, because you guys get to see, it's instant gratification. You get to see those buildings go up. You get to see those roads built. So I think it's a very cool trade and very cool career. I hope these students learned something today. But that is it for today. I really appreciate you guys coming in. Yeah, I mean, we're going to try and get you guys in the building. So students, if you see these guys walking around, walk up to them, shake their hands, and introduce yourself. Kelly, anything else?
That's it. I just want to say thank you to everyone. And Elijah Gallion, can you hear me? I don't think you can. All right, then we're all done for today. Have a great day, everyone. Thank a veteran.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you. I got late, but yeah, it's okay.